Hello all. Today's topic is community development. It also comes under extension and community development. So community, as we all know, is a group of people living in any geographical area. They have an interest in each other for purpose of making a living. Okay, they all live together as a community. Okay. So development indicates gradual growth of maturation, which is a sequential phase. It can also be expressed as increasing differentiation in an upward direction, or something is growing development. So community development is bringing forth the potential elements, abilities and qualities of a group who live in a common territory and who have an interdependent relationship with each other. Interdependent means anybody who is living in a community will be dependent on anybody else, because I'll be dependent on my neighbor for a lot of things, right? So in a community you can't live like a island. You will have to depend on multiple things, like you will have a panchayat in your, or a municipality, where you will be related to it for certain things. You will have to depend on your community organizations. You need to depend on certain people. So you have different needs, and you depend on the different people. And so development of a community is a very sequential development or growth that is happening in a community. Okay. So what are the fields of coverage? So when you say about community development, it doesn't happen just like that. It's not like when you're saying community develops on its own. No, it doesn't develop on its own. There should be some effort that is taken. Usually who is the one who is taking the effort is, of course, it is the government side, or it could be some NGOs. So somebody or somebody will be there who is actually having an aim to develop the community, who will be working towards this. Now, overall development, usually when we say about community development, we focus on rural people, because the urban people, they might be coming from different places and settling somewhere, and they will have certain, they might have a job, they might be employed, they might be students. So they're not like completely unaware of certain things. But in the case of rural areas, where they'll be very less exposed to certain things, like they will not be knowing about certain the programs by the government, etc. So agriculture, animal husbandry, irrigation, cooperation, public health, education, social education. So all these things need to be given, the people should be given exposure on all these related items. So even if it is agriculture, there will be traditional farmers who might suffer from crop damage, who will not know different new methods of cultivation, etc. So naturally community development aims at empowering them, bringing them forward, making them more developed, giving them machinery, teaching them how to use the machines, how to use new techniques, etc. Even about public health, giving them awareness about different diseases, how to tackle them, the importance of going to the hospital, etc. So there are officials for each of these activities, from district to village level, to plan, execute, and evaluate whatever the program or community development program that is being conducted. So what is the history? Now, when we talk about history, we had discussed, when we are talking about the introduction to extension education, we had told about different pre and post independence era extension programs, which which were there in our country. Now, because like there were different programs were set to improve the condition of people. So it had, the overall agenda was, of course, the upliftment or the empowerment of people, so that they are more educated, they are more, they have a better jobs, better, community, they better at everything. Overall development was the main aim. So the government of India entered into an operational agreement with the government of the USA, that so the overall development, as a program, there were different, like Nilokeri projects, different projects were there, by there were even projects by Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore. So many projects were there, and the government as such took it as a program or a project in a very full-fledged manner, in around 1952 as a, there were community development projects were started across the country. Okay, but the other projects like we had discussed is like were just localized. It was in certain areas, some local leader will be there and he will be focusing on his or her area. But in case of this program that we have talking about, which was started on 2nd of October 1952, you can just remember the date, by it was a Gandhi Jayanti in 1952. 55 community development projects were started in different parts of the country. Okay, so the government of India, they got into an agreement with the government of the US under the Technical Cooperation Program Agreement, and this was started for the first 3 years. Whenever you start the program, it was started for 3 years. Okay, this is like a just as a trial. So the main aims of the project was to increase agricultural production by all possible means, to tackle the problems of unemployment, to improve village communications. This 1952, you can imagine, there were no TV, there was no, of course, no internet, no mobile phones. So naturally, village people didn't have any access to information. They couldn't afford any, newspapers and everything, because it was, of course, you have to pay money for all that, right? Magazines, newspapers, etc. Now the villagers who are not so affluent and not so rich, they didn't have much communication. So to improve village communications, to foster primary education, public health, recreation. So all these were aims. Then of course to improve the housing, to promote indigenous handicrafts and small scale industries, to improve the villagers' lot through their own primary effort. So this is like overall development in case of employment, communication, education, housing, and also promoting their whatever skill they had. So it was like an overall development. So the project was launched in 55 different blocks or community development blocks with an area of around 400 to 500 square miles, comprising of 300 villages and 2 lakh population in each block. So in each of these blocks, it was around, the block was around 400 to 500 square miles, and there were around 300 villages were included in each of them, and around 2 lakh population was also there at each block. So the project area was divided in each block was divided into the whole project was divided into 3 development block with 100 each villages and 60 to 70,000 population groups with 5 to 10 villages. Okay, so it was like different blocks, it was all divided, and 100 villages each was like one development block, then which had 60 to 70,000 population, and which will have around 5 to 10 villages. Okay, so the project was headed by project officers. Then there was a subject matter extension officer, who is having a good knowledge about the subject matter. Like it could be agriculture, it could be animal husbandry, it could be about handicraft promotion, it could be anything. So industries, rural engineering, social education, etc. So somebody will be there, will have somebody who's well educated in that matter. And also there will be village workers who will help these extension educators. Of course, where it's not just about knowledge, you need to have good contacts with the local people. We have studied in extension that there should be an involvement of local people. Just somebody coming from outside cannot teach the villagers, because they will need somebody who they can trust, right? So due to positive impact, so this was how it was done. So due to positive impact of these community development program, a need for more expansion was felt. And there was in 1950, that's just after 1 year, you can see that there was a good progress. After the 1 year itself, there was some progress seen. So there was a national extension program was launched. So it was launched with the idea of having wider coverage at lower cost and more of people's participation. So this was headed by the block development officer, who was also called as the BDO, with extension officers and village level workers. And it was limited to 10 in 100 villages. Okay, for every 100 villages, there will be 10. So 1 in 10 villages. Okay, and 65,000 population. And the funds were drastically reduced compared to the community development blocks. So this is like it is again, the big program was divided into smaller programs so that more people are being benefited. So in 1954, some of these NES blocks which produced good results and were selected, and again they were converted to community development blocks, because community development blocks had better fund, fund as well as staff were increased in these blocks. So the block development officer who will be the head, and there will be an extension officer for agriculture, there will be another extension officer for animal husbandry, for cooperative, for industries, etc. Now there will be different for each of these programs. There will be separate extension officers. So here EO refers to extension officer. So BDO, or the block development officer, will be the head, and under him there will be different extension officers who will be dealing with each of these programs. Like somebody will be there responsible for agriculture, someone will be there who is responsible for animal husbandry, somebody for cooperative, somebody for sanitation and hygiene, social education, etc. And there will be many village workers, village level workers also, who are members of the local community, who will be helping these extension officers. So what are the different objectives? Objectives of these community development programs. So in 1962, again after 9 years, the Ministry of Community Development and Cooperation stated certain objectives. Only after you have started a program and you have running it, about the different areas you must cover. You will be knowing the different drawbacks, and you will be trying to correct them, and then implement new laws, new ways of improving the community. So the different objectives as stated by the Government of India in 1962 with the Ministry of Community Development and Cooperation. First objective is to assist each village in having effective specific objectives. Now the general objectives are given by the government, and each of the village will have their own specific objective. For example, if one village might be they will be in the near the sea, so they will not have much of agriculture practices or anything. They will have some fisheries activities, so their village will have such kind of objectives, to to develop the fisherman community. Whereas another village will be there who is living in a desert. They will have their own type. Maybe they have some handicraft, etc. And they don't have agriculture or fisheries, but they have certain handicrafts which the people we can develop. So if for each of the village they will have certain specific objectives. Then through these institutions, plan and carry out integrated multi-phase family, village and block and district plans for increasing the agricultural production. So increasing agricultural production is one of the important areas. Then improving, so for different things, that is like you have to carry out different plans for various activities like agricultural production, improving village crafts, industries, then health services, education facilities, recreation facilities, then housing, and also provide programs for women and youth, for women empowerment, youth employability, etc. Now, what are the different essentials of community development? Whenever there's a community development project, the basic is that the project should be initiated based on the expressed needs of people. You should not think that, oh, these people need this, and just go and give them one program. No, you people go and do some handloom activity. It should not be like that. We should not give the objectives, and we should discuss with the people, think from their side, talk to them, understand their needs, and based on that, these community development programs must be designed. There should be intensive action with different multi-purpose programs. One program can be there for communication development, health services, education, etc. Then equal to material achievement, change in the attitudes of people is also important. Yes, very important. Some people might have very faulty misconceptions about different things. They might have certain superstitious beliefs regarding animal husbandry or anything. So they will have some like you say women, if you're giving education to women, some the older people, what happens is they will be telling that the breastfeeding mother should not give the colostrum. So that's a very faulty, it's a misunderstanding or misconception that is there. So you can educate the people, women, about there is no harm in giving the colostrum. In fact, it is very essential that you give the colostrum or the first milk that is produced by the breast. So all that should be so you can tell, you can correct their beliefs, their attitudes, like you can educate them regarding certain things, like women, they have they face a lot of problems because of these superstitious beliefs, etc. You can give them awareness about certain conditions like postpartum depression or all that. So the attitude should change. Then development of local leadership. Of course, there should be some local leader other than the extension officer. There should be some local leader who is helping out. Maybe it could be a panchayat president or a member, or anybody should be there who is actively involved. Then there should be participation of people at every stage and activity of the program, because this program, community development, is of course for the people. So it should be for the people, by the people. So participation of women, youth should be there. Self-help projects should receive both internal and external resources. So people should also contribute. It should not be just that the government is providing all the funds and everything. People should also be encouraged to promote, to give certain, to volunteer and give certain, they should also be giving them their inputs. Then adequate administrative and policy support should be there from the government side. There should be support. Then involvement of non-governmental organizations, who a lot of non-governmental organizations or NGOs are there who are very much willing to help, provide volunteers and etc. for helping for community development. So all that can be included. So there are different types of community development projects. So there are three types. So first is the integrative type, second is the adaptive type, and the third is the project type. So let's see which all are there. So the first one is integrated type. So this is like, it has a country-wide scope. That is, it is everywhere it is relevant, and it emphasizes on development and coordination of technical services. Based on the need of people, the objectives are set. So first of all, it has a country-wide scope. Everywhere it is relevant, and based on need of the people, the specific objectives are set. To achieve these objectives, the existing, departments are incorporated into the program, and they are implemented through a readily available department. Certain department will be there, like women and child health department of the, family health welfare department of the government is there. So, with the coordination of these departments, certain programs can be conducted. So this department will coordinate at every level the effort of both government and non-governmental organizations. So different people can come, and that is why it is called as integrated type. You can give the efforts from the government side, and also the non-government organizations can also participate in the overall development. For example, if you are going to, like today, like we having say no to drugs, when you are giving program on awareness on the problems associated with drugs. Now, a lot of people, the government can be involved, the different colleges can be involved, the non-governmental organizations can be involved. So that is why it is called as an integrated type. It has, of course, country-wide scope, and also the specific objectives are set based on the local, certain areas, one type of drug might be very preferred. In another area, in another state, some other drug might be very common. So depending on that, they can give the specific objectives can be set in. So the governmental organizations can make a big role. The police force can come in. So all those things can be. That is why it is called as there are a lot of coordination from different people can be obtained for this integrated type. The next one is adaptive type. Now, it was designed to be country-wide with emphasis on community organization, self-help, and involves in changes in administrative organizations of government. So this also can be attached to any department and adjusted to the prevailing administrative organization of government. So this is also like you are actually changing certain like organization level, you are actually changing the different, there might be some changes which is at the organization level that you're going to make the changes. Next one is project type. So one particular project, for example, a different type of project is there which is being implemented in one particular area. So these are like of geographical scope with emphasis on development. For example, if you want to develop fisheries or tourism in one part of the country, like one rural area is there which is very beautiful, and there is a project to develop tourism in that area. So this is a project type. So that this project is specifically for improving or to promote tourism in a particular area, and they can go for they can bring out certain tourism will help improve employability of the youth over there. A lot of people will be employed, then there will be a lot of businesses happening there. The people will have more exposure to different cultures, tourists will come, and there will be a lot of development taking place. So such as like, so it has a geographical scope, so it is like specific to one particular area. So of course this can be done without any interference of local government organizations. Like you have to without any government organization support, you cannot do this, because the project will be implemented by the government itself. Now, what are the different stages of community development? So the pattern of community development program was revised from time to time, and in 1958 a particular pattern was actually given. Okay, a pattern was given. Earlier it was like, okay, it was there are a lot of things were done, and then as the time passed by, like 5 years from then, there was there a particular framework was developed. Okay, so it was divided into 4 stages. The first is a pre-extension stage. Initially this is like there was a very limited staff. Is like there is a block development officer or the BDO, one agricultural extension officer, and some 5 village level workers is there. They will survey the whole block area. So they will prepare the groundwork for the intensive stage. They will just have a pre-extension. So this is like they are going to assess the needs of the people. What is the problem? What are the problems? You have to identify the problems. They will survey the whole area, prepare all the groundwork. So that is the first pre-extension stage. So once everything is done, like what all needs to be there, what should be focusing on, how many days should we do the program for what is the target community, all that is in the first stage or the pre-extension stage. Now the second stage or the main stage of the community development is stage 1 block. After 1 year of the pre-extension stage, the block stepped into stage 1. So now the budget has increased, and it's like for 5 years of intensive development. So during this period, provision was made to have 1 block development officer, 8 extension officers. So earlier it was just 1 extension officer, and here we have 8 extension officers, 10 village level workers, 2 gram sevikas, 3 stockmen who were involved in veterinary, 1 physician are there, then 3 to 4 midwives, 1 compounder or somebody who's helping with the medications, or like pharmacist kind of a person, a sanitary inspector, and a necessary office staff. So all these people were there in the first stage. So there's like more things to be done, right? Now the next stage is that the staffing part, the pattern is almost the same. The budget is like 5 lakh of rupees for a period of 5 years. That is 1 lakh per year. So again, there's more work to be done. The staff is the same. There is a block development officer will be there, 10 extension officers, village workers, gram sevikas, office staff. So many people will be there, and they'll be doing their community development program. Now the next is post stage. This is like after the community development program has been implemented in a particular area. What happens? Just like for the follow-up work. So this is like around, the budget is around 1 lakh per year. All the development activities which were done in the earlier stages, like agriculture, animal husbandry, this is supposed to continue. Okay. So the needs are successfully satisfied only when, the needs are identified. You need to really identify the needs. You can't just imagine that these people need this. You actually need to go and find that out, and the program is being planned for that need. Okay. So after the every community development program has been implemented, it takes a lot of years. Okay. And after that, the follow-up should happen. And this, for example, when some people have been educated about agricultural practices, etc. So after 5 years, after the program is over, also the people should be still practicing those newly developed, newly acquired knowledge. They should be practically placing them for their own benefit. Then only it is you can say that it is successful. Otherwise it's no use. Then comes National Extension Services. That is what we had mentioned, that it was started from October 2nd, 1953. That is 1 year from the community development program that was in 1952. And after 1 year, October 2nd, 1953, National Extension Services was started. So this was introduced as an agency. Okay. And community development was the method to bring about this transformation. So there was just two main divisions for this National Extension Service. One is extension education, and there was community organization. Some community organization was there who is giving out this, who is responsible for bringing this extension education. So what are the different objectives? There was the main objective was agricultural in nature. That is like to prepare farm plan of farmers. Like for example, some people might not have much of idea as to what to do in their farm. They might have a lot of land as ancestral property, but they might be just growing some traditional crops, maybe some coconut here, some banana there. They will not have any idea or a plan. So to give the extension officer or the agricultural extension officer will give them a particular plan, so that they will know what to do, what is the good soil good for, what could be grown there, what can be better, what fertilizers can I use, is there any improved seeds, insecticides, pesticides, is it needed, etc. So there is also provision for supplying chemical fertilizers, seeds, insecticides, pesticides, etc., and to bring the cultivated area under the package program. So after they do the cultivation, for sale and all, cooperatives can be set up, etc., so that they can ensure that the whatever produce is being made, it is being sold, and the person gets amount of, they gets monetized and they get money for it. What are the different characteristics of the programs? The different mainly here we are focusing on agricultural. Okay. So it emphasized measures for immediate increase in agricultural production, because earlier in 1950s and all, the major focus was on production, increasing production, because the population was growing really high and we needed more grains, more cereals, etc. So the production, so the lot of focus was given to increase in agricultural production. So only districts with adequate production potential in terms of assured water and infrastructure facilities were selected. You can't only those areas which have which there is a potential for growth. You can't select any desert area and tell them to grow crops. There are only people, only areas where there is assured water, where you are sure that you get water and other infrastructure facilities. Like you can't go in the streets of Mumbai and tell them to start agriculture production. There's no space or any infrastructure for agriculture. There's no way in which the agriculture can be done there. So only in places where assured water, infrastructure facilities, all these are available, these kind of program, National Extension Services for agriculture was done. Now emphasis was directed towards profitability even at the farm level, because usually what happened was, earlier days the farmers will hardly get anything, and the sellers or the retailers, the marketers, the middlemen will be getting all the profit. So if the farmer is selling the banana for 20 rupees, the at the end of the the market wherever in other areas, they might be selling it for about 100 or 80 rupees. And there is a big gap. So here the National Extension Services is actually giving more power to the farmers by assuring profit to at the farm level. And also stress was laid on adoption of more better practices like improved seed, fertilizers, manure, improved implements, proper soil, water management practices. So next comes very important one is Panchayati Raj system. So National Extension Services is something that was done to improve the overall community development, and community organization was to be it has to be, according to the National Extension Services, community organizations need to have more power. So as a part of that, after the initiation of the Community Development and National Extension Services, and it was realized that people's participation was not coming to the desired extent, because somebody from the government, somebody who is there from the research team, they are saying something. There was not much of an involvement from the local people. So there is like a system for local leadership, is a permanent local leadership, some system, so that local leadership is developed, and it is like it is a permanent body where local people are enabled to take up the planning and implementation of these programs themselves. So in order to achieve this objective, it was decided in 1958 to introduce the Panchayati Raj system by the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee. Okay, it was in 1958. Remember these dates? 1958 that the Panchayati Raj was introduced. Okay, this system is like envisaging three-tier system at the district, block, and village levels. So district level it is called as Zilla Parishad, block level it is called as a Panchayat Samiti, and village level it is called as a village Panchayat. So it is a three-tier system wherein local people are involved. So what is a Panchayati Raj system? So according to the system, a Panchayat will be established in each village. These village panchayats would be responsible for planning and implementation of all these community development and extension program at the village level. At the block level, the Panchayat Samiti will be there, and it consists of the president of the village, the Panchayat president of each village will be there, and some other members will also be there. So the Panchayat the Samiti is in complete charge of the planning and implementation of the community development programs. Next is the block development officer will be the chief executive officer of the Samiti or the Panchayat Samiti, and all the extension officers are subordinate to him. The financial resources of the Samiti will consist of money from land revenue, like you will have taxes. Funds will be allocated for community development, funds received from all India boards, etc. And the contribution from Panchayat, the people. So there will be a lot of different taxes like land tax, things that which is like collected by the Panchayat. So the third tier of the Panchayati Raj is the Zilla Parishad, or which is at the district level. Okay. Now this will consist of all the presidents of the Panchayat Samitis in the district, the people's representatives such as the members of the MLA, members of the Legislative Assembly, members of the Parliament, the MLA, the MP, the district collector, and some co-opted members also. So the Zilla Parishad consolidates the plans prepared in respect of all the blocks in the district, and they will coordinate the activities of the block or the Samiti. Okay, so these are the different three-tier levels. That is the district level, it is called as a Zilla Parishad, which is coordinating all the activities. Next, down comes block level or the Panchayat Samiti, and the third one is the village level, which is the village Panchayat. Now that is about the Panchayati Raj system. Now another constitution and amendment which was related to this community development is the 73rd constitutional amendment. Okay. So the government enacted the 73rd Constitution Amendment in 1992, and it became effective on 24th of April 1993. So this is was added to the part 9 of the Constitution of India. It is entitled as the Panchayats. Okay. And it consists of provisions from Articles 243 to 243O. The Act has given practical shape to the Article 40 of the Constitution and gives some status, a constitutional status to the Panchayati Raj institutions. So it is in this article or this amendment which gives a constitutional status to the Panchayati Raj institutions. Now, according to this, a three-tier system was developed, and the election was held periodically. So the main features of this act are the three-tier system of the Panchayati Raj for all the states having population of over 20 lakhs. The Panchayat regularly should conduct elections every 5 years. Now there should be reservation of seats for scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, women, and at least the reservation should be not less than 1/3 of the seats. Then there should be an appointment of State Finance Commission to make recommendations regarding the financial powers of the panchayat. Then constitution of district planning committee to prepare all the developmental plans for the district as a whole. So these are the different ways in which, the Panchayat Raj was given, or the Panchayat was given a constitutional status only in the 73rd Constitutional Amendment. Please remember this. It became effective, it was enacted or passed by the government, the parliament in 1992 December, and it became effective on 24th of April 1993. So according to this itself, the three-tier system was made. Then regularly they should conduct elections. There should be all members from scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, women, etc. All these were enacted at that point of time. Now coming to NGOs. Now what are NGOs? NGOs include NGO stands for non-governmental organizations. So these include groups and institutions that are entirely or largely independent of government, and they have primarily humanitarian or cooperative rather than commercial objectives. They are usually private agencies in industrial countries that support international developments, and also indigenous groups organized regionally or nationally, and member groups in villages. So they can be charitable institutions, religious associations. They will they will collect funds for development, distribute food, family planning services, promote community organizations, etc. So they can also include independent cooperatives, community associations, water user societies, women's groups, pastoral associations. All these are independent of government support usually. But NGOs can also take support from the government. So they will have some humanitarian objectives. They might be for empowerment of women, empowerment of farmers. It could be for animal welfare. So a lot of NGOs are there in our country with different objectives. So a non-governmental organization is basically a legally constitutional or constituted organization which is created by some private organization or people with no participation or representation from any government. So sometimes it can be like the funding, it can be totally or partially by governments. The NGO maintains its non-governmental status as so far as it excludes government representatives from membership. Okay. So when they are getting funds from government, certain NGOs will ask for governmental support if they are doing good job. If the government recognizes their job as good, the NGOs can be funded by the government also. So they should exclude, there should not be any representative from the government in their organization. So even though the term NGO or governmental organization implies independence from governments, of course some NGOs depend heavily on governments for their funding. So what are the characteristics of NGOs? Now they are non-profit making. It's not a commercial organization. It's only for welfare, voluntary, it is service oriented, development oriented, association or organization. It is for the benefit of members or the benefit of any member or other members of the population. It is it could be like grassroots organization, like they could be developed, like an NGO might be there for development of tribal people. There could be somebody for scheduled caste, Dalit population. Then there may be for animal welfare. It could be any reason. It is an organization of private individuals who believe in certain basic social principles and who structure their activities to bring about development to communities they are servicing. So it is a social development organization which assists in empowerment of people. An organization or a group of people working independent of any external control with specific objectives. And they aim to fulfill tasks that are oriented to bring about desirable change in any given community or areas or situation. It is independent, it could be democratic, it is non-sectarian, which works for empowerment of economically or socially marginalized groups. It's usually for economically weaker section of the people, because the other people don't need any NGO to support them, right? It is not affiliated to any political party. It is generally engaged in working for AIDS, welfare, especially in terms of any emergencies, etc. An organization which is committed to the root cause of the problems, trying to better the quality of life, especially for the poor, oppressed, marginalized people in the urban and rural areas. So there will be very little or no intervention from the government. They are not only charity, but they also work on socio-economic cultural activities. So the traditionally NGOs were known as voluntary organizations or VAs, voluntary agencies, voluntary development organization, non-governmental development organization, NGDO, etc. So there are different names. All of them have the same characteristics. Now, the government has enunciated welfare state as one of the directive principles of state policy. And so, they have a role to play in providing basic needs, to address the problems of the downtrodden, destitute, weaker sections like women, children, widows, etc. So the government has identified, considering the social pattern of living and needs, schemes in which NGOs and voluntary organizations can participate. Just like I mentioned earlier, like when you're conducting a program on no drugs, or say no to drugs, or against any other evil, social evils. A lot of NGOs can do a great role in doing a lot of activities to participate people, to make them be a part of all these programs. So the different areas in which NGOs can act is like old age care, agriculture, animal welfare, art and craft, children, the basic needs of children, cities and urban development, culture and heritage. Certain NGOs will be there which are for handloom promotion. There will be for disability children. They will be working for the empowerment of disabled people, education, environment. A lot of people are there who are environmentalists are there. Health promotion, human resource development, rural development, science and technology. Somebody might be working for tribal people. Some agencies might be working for waste management, and somebody will be for welfare, women development, and also other social and cultural activities. So these are the different areas in which NGOs are working. So today we discussed about community development, the National Extension Services, the different objectives, the characteristics. Then we came to Panchayati Raj institution and the amendment, the constitutional amendment which made Panchayati Raj system a constitutional body, which gives a constitutional status to all those panchayat. So 73rd amendment. Then we have also discussed about different NGOs and how they are acted, what are the roles of NGOs, etc. So hope it is clear to all of you.